Winchester Mystery House, San Jose, California. This is one of the scariest houses in America. It's full of ghosts, and if you go there now, they say you can still see them walking around. This house is the reason why we tell this story tonight. But before I tell it, I got 3 questions for you. Have you ever seen a ghost? Do you believe in ghosts? And would you ever stay in a haunted house? Let me know your answers down below. It all started back in 1862 when a young woman named Sarah married the love of her life, William Winchester. He was an outdoorsman and inventor. He created one of the first repeating rifles which became popular during the Civil War. And after the war ended, his business boomed. He became really rich, so he and Sarah moved from New Haven, Connecticut to San Jose, California, and bought a small farmhouse on a 6-acre plot of land. Now, for a while, everything was great. They had each other and they enjoyed living out on the ranch. They even hired a handyman to help fix up the house and the grounds. Then, in 1866, their daughter Annie was born. The whole family was very happy. It seemed like God had blessed them with everything they could ask for. But then, suddenly, it all came crashing down. In 1867, baby Annie got sick and died. She had the same fever that had been going around town, and doctors couldn't find a cure. Soon after the baby died, William and Sarah started having problems in their marriage. They began fighting all the time, especially over William's obsession with his work. He spent more and more time in his shop and less time with his wife. Then, in 1871, things got really bad. William got into a huge fight with one of his business partners. The partner accused William of stealing money from him. William denied it, but the accusations got louder, and eventually William was forced to sell his share of the business. With no money coming in, the Winchesters were forced to move out of their home and rent a much smaller place while William tried to come up with a new invention that would make them rich again. But just 2 months later, in March 1872, William died of a heart attack at the age of 35. He left everything to his widow, Sarah, who was now alone and deeply depressed. To cope, she threw herself into her work, and she began attending seances with the sole purpose of speaking with her dead husband. One day, during a seance, Sarah says she heard a voice telling her to move to New Haven, Connecticut. The voice said it was her husband, and that he wanted her to come home. So, believing it really was her husband, Sarah sold all her furniture and possessions and used the money to buy a train ticket to New Haven. When she arrived, she went straight to her late husband's family home and told them what she had heard. They invited her in for tea and then led her to the backyard where they buried her husband. As she stood over his grave, the voice told her to dig up his coffin and take it with her. So that's exactly what she did. She returned to San Jose, dug up her late daughter's grave and placed her next to William. And then finally, not knowing what else to do, she called her husband's former business partner, John, and told him to meet her at the ranch. When he arrived, he found the coffins of William and Annie sitting in the parlor. The voice told him to join them, and he did. All 3 of them sat in silence for a long time until John finally asked, "What now?" The voice told him that now they are all one, and will forever be together as a family. And that's when John knew something had taken over Sarah. She was not the same person he once loved. She had become obsessed with death. And every time someone died from a Winchester rifle, she believed it was calling out to her from beyond the grave. And so she began planning how to escape the ghosts that were haunting her. Her plan was insane. She would build a never-ending labyrinth of rooms and staircases and hallways. And that way the ghosts would never be able to catch up with her. With the help of her gardener, she added on to the house, building 8 additional rooms onto the original structure. At night, she would walk the halls with a hammer in her hand, checking each room to make sure the ghosts hadn't caught up with her. She continued doing this until the day she died. After Sarah passed away in 1922, the house was willed to John, who finally decided to open it up to the public as a tourist attraction. People paid admission by bringing a bottle of wine or other liquor and then were allowed to explore the bizarre mansion at their own risk. It didn't take long for visitors to start reporting strange activity in the home. Some saw ghostly figures walking through the halls. Others felt cold spots or heard disembodied voices. Some even claimed to have been touched by a cold, invisible hand. Because of stories like these, the Winchester Mystery House quickly became one of the most popular tourist attractions in California. To this day, people visit the mansion hoping to catch a glimpse of one of its ghosts. And the house has also been featured on television shows like Ghost Adventures and Most Haunted. During one investigation, the Ghost Adventures crew set up cameras throughout the house and let them roll overnight. That's when they captured the most compelling evidence of a haunting. They saw strange orbs of light moving through the house, and they also heard phantom footsteps in the attic above them. Later, when they investigated the attic, they found a door that had been closed shut for years, and it was unlocked. Then, as the team investigated further, they heard chains dragging metal moans. And just when they turned to look, whatever was making the noise stopped moving. Not only that, but they also picked up voices in the attic. At first, it sounded like someone dragging a metal chain across the floor. Then a voice seemed to say, "Leave us alone." And later, another voice said, "Get out." All of this led the team to believe that whoever is haunting the attic doesn't want to be disturbed. But perhaps the most disturbing evidence came when they investigated the basement. There, they experienced a sudden drop in temperature, and they heard heavy footsteps near the stairs. And even though no one was there, a voice suddenly appeared saying, "Turn the light on, please." Seconds later, the lights flickered and turned on by themselves. There are countless stories like these that have been reported at the Winchester Mystery House. And that's why it's considered one of the most haunted places in America. But recently, the house has begun to fall apart. Its foundation is crumbling and the entire structure could collapse at any moment. And because of that, the owners have announced they're going to tear it down and turn it into a hotel. Before they do, though, they're allowing paranormal investigators to enter and document any final hauntings. They're offering a reward of $10,000 to anyone who captures video evidence of a ghost. So far, no one has won the prize, but maybe you could try. If you visit the house today, you can still walk the halls and see all the strange rooms and staircases for yourself. You can climb up the tower and look out over the property, and maybe if you listen closely, you might be able to hear the ghosts walking around. Thank you for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I have a favor to ask you. Please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Also, if you want to watch more episodes, click the video on screen now. And, as always, remember, don't believe everything you see and don't trust everything you see.